What if I told you this entire book doesn't exist yet? Today, I'm starting a brand new story set in the world of the Lunar Quartz Library. But there's one problem. I have no outline, no plot, and only a handful of scattered ideas. So in this video, you're coming with me as I brainstorm the entire prequel from scratch. And by the end, we'll know who this story is about, what secrets it's hiding, and whether this idea is actually worth writing. Let's build a book together. Hi, I'm Melanie Steele, and this channel is for women writing their next chapter, whether that's a book, a dream, or a whole new life. If that sounds like you, I'd love for you to hit the subscribe button. It has been a while since I have written fiction. If you've been here for a while, you'll probably know that my last fiction book, and only fiction book at this point, The Lunar Quartz Library, came out on Halloween 2025, so the end of October. It is now pretty much July 2026, and I am ready to go back to the world of Quartz Falls. Now, this is not the sequel to the Lunar Quartz Library. That is coming, I promise you. The idea has been written down in a notebook and it will be committed to at some point. But what I am currently working on is the prequel. I want to write the prequel because I want to, one, create a short story, and two, I want to improve the kind of reader magnet or cookie, whatever we're calling it, to attract new readers into my world. And one of the best ways to do that is with a short story that is connected to your main world or your main book. So one of the main reasons that I started writing this prequel now is that we are in Q3. I use Sarah Cannon's HB90 planning system. So every quarter I set different goals for things that I want to achieve. And it just seemed very timely that as I was kind of taking down my Kanban board with all of the tasks that I had achieved last quarter, that I start afresh and that in Q3, we are going to get this story done and get it out into the world. And also, by the end of Q3, I would also like to have made some progress on the sequel to the Lunar Quartz Library. But first things first, let us focus on the prequel. My plan is to basically set it to perma-free on Amazon so that anyone, whether you have Kindle Unlimited or not, can read it, download it for free, and hopefully feel very enticed to go on and read the Lunar Quartz Library, which is in Kindle Unlimited if you are interested in reading that and you have a subscription. The prequel, I had no outline, no plot, no idea of what this was going to entail when I first started planning this a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, time has passed and I now know what it's going to be about, but it was a bit tricky. For one, I hadn't read the book myself in a while, and whilst I have my story bible, it has lots of notes, I felt that I really needed to go back and read this fully before doing my prequel so that I didn't do the classic, oh, she said the magic worked this way in this book and now it's completely something different. We've all read that book and been annoyed by that. So I needed to go back fully, immerse myself, remind myself of everything I might have forgotten. And that was actually very worthwhile because there were a few plot points that were going to need to be thought about for this prequel. What's it going to be about? I have decided that the prequel for this book is going to be the story of Esme's dad. Now, throughout this whole video, I don't want to give too many spoilers because obviously, if you're new here, you've never read this book, you have no idea, and I don't want to take away from that experience. But equally, I know some of you have, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is meaningful to me. Like Esme's dad, I know why probably you're telling this part of the story. So I'm going to do my best to kind of give you some information, but not too much so that you can still be surprised by it. And like if you're new and have no idea, you're intrigued by it. If you've read the book, you're like, oh yes, actually, I'd really like to know why X, Y, Z. Esme is the protagonist of the Lunar Quartz Library. That much you can find out on Amazon. And the prequel is going to be about her dad, and basically her dad plays a pivotal role in how she comes to basically be at this library. There are a lot of unanswered questions about him, and this prequel is going to fix that. So once I had reread the Lunar Quartz Library, I solidified, one, the plot points that needed to be addressed, and two, how I needed to address them. It is often not easy to write a book and go backwards as to what happened before. You often run into the trouble of writing yourself into a bit of a corner. I didn't write myself into a corner so much as I hadn't fully thought through about how some things might need to be fixed or changed. It did take me a while to work through some of those points, and they're still not fully worked out, but they are certainly more developed than what they were. So that has been my kind of main challenge around writing this prequel, is how am I going to explain XYZ from the first book. Writing is tricky. No one sits at their desk and knows exactly what they're going to write. Even if you're a pantser, you still need the idea to come from your head into the actual work. It's not an instantaneous thing. There is a lot of being sat in your chair thinking, and now what? So I definitely experienced that whilst writing this story. So one of the first things I need to think about was characters. I knew this was going to be Esme's dad's story, but we didn't know a whole lot about him because I didn't know a whole lot about him. So first of all, he's finally getting a name in this prequel. As I said, he was alluded to and talked about, but I never actually gave him a name. I don't know why, but I kind of like the fact that I didn't, because now he gets to have a name and this whole fleshed out character identity. Obviously, once I'd read the book, I had reminded myself of the things that had been said about him, but that was barely a skeleton of a character. So I've had to really flesh him out. What makes him tick? What does he look like? What does he do? And kind of to build that from the ground up, as opposed to this very mysterious man who we know very little about. He is now coming together nicely as a fully fledged character. Another important factor was magic. There is a shift in magic in the prequel to the main book. If you read the main book, you probably know why that is. But needless to say, I needed to expand the magic world, because even though this is a short story, so there won't be tons and tons of magic, I did need to add in a few things that would make sense in terms of the world at this current time. I came up with some really fun, even though they're small, some really fun kind of magic spells that happen very early on. And they also kind of allude to the kind of character of Esme's dad. And it all just comes together to have the kind of magic that tells us a lot about who he is as a person, as well as the world in which he lives. I'm still devising some of the magic because at the time of filming, this story is not finished and it probably won't be finished for another couple of weeks or so. I'm having a lot of fun kind of building it out, because with every book there will be more magic. So we're kind of starting off with a world like this, and it's just building out, and it's really satisfying process to go through. In terms of themes for this book, I think there are definitely some different themes from the main book. Notably, I would say legacy, magic and responsibility, and preserving stories, what we are willing to protect and what we are willing to preserve. So I also returned to Pinterest while I was writing this story. I have a whole board filled with pins that just, for me, feel like quartz falls. And just going in and looking at those and scrolling through kind of instantly takes me not just to how it looks, but to how it feels. I needed to add a few more different images to that. just to capture more of this particular time period. So I've really been enjoying kind of looking for similar images and adding them to that board. I just find it very inspirational to be able to kind of see these visual images. If it's something you haven't tried, if you've been writing a book, I would highly recommend giving it a go. Just creating a board on Pinterest. You can keep it secret, so you don't have to, run the risk of anyone else seeing it. If people follow you on Pinterest, for example, you can keep it secret and just for yourself. But I just find it really inspirational to have visuals that really bring somewhere to life. And it works for all kinds of different genres of books as well, not just fantasy. Just for inspiration for places and people. Really recommend giving it a go. So I hope that you have had fun brainstorming this book with me. And I did promise that I would reveal the name of this prequel, so here we go. The Last Librarian. If you couldn't tell, alliteration is definitely going to be a part of all my titles. They are all alliterative at this point. I just think it was fun. It just made sense in the scope of the story. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.